Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here on Ravenport. We are carrying on with our gathering up of the bales, just like this. And this is going to be one of the first episodes with the new video format. So obviously the opening is the same, but the end of the video will be slightly different to what you're used to. Do not be alarmed when it happens, okay? Do not be alarmed. It's entirely planned. It's supposed to happen like that when it happens. And so all videos from this point on will be 30 minutes or less. And this is to try to persuade YouTube that my videos are still worth plonking in front of other people. At least I hope so. At least I'm hoping that other people will also believe this, because their opinion does also matter on this. But anyway, enough about that. Once we've gathered up these bales here, we've got a field over there that has now been spread with fertilizers. We've got growth right there. So we've got a double layer of fertilizer over there. We could do some lime on this field. So I'll go and check and see what lime we've got. And then we also need fertilizer on this field as well. Now, somebody did suggest that maybe we could just plant a little bit of crop over on that field. Just while we're gathering a little bit more money. Because I'm actually planning to save money for a minute. So that we can get more land. And so, therefore, I'm not going to be getting more chickens just yet. Which means that we do essentially have a field going to waste over there. This is a very good idea, and I should have thought of it. So we're going to do that, and in order to do that, what we're going to need is a little bit of fertilizer on that field to start with. So I'm going to take this one over there, and if we just have a look, we also need lime on that field. I remove that. See, we've got no fertilizer on that field at all. So I'm going to take this one over there, and we're going to throw a little bit of fertilizer onto that small field. Then we're going to use the lime spreader there, and I'm not sure if it's full or otherwise. We've got a bag of fertilizer there, which we'll put into this one in a bit, but we won't do it just yet. But then, really what I'd like is to get those placeables. You know the placeables that I mean? They are the ones that you can put down anywhere on the farm, and then you can use them to refill. They're not brilliant. It's got to be said. I'm not a huge fan of those placeables. You've got to get really, really tight to the tank in order for it to work, and it's a little bit of a jolly nuisance. But it's what we've got. So, and they're not that expensive. Well, the lime one is a bit expensive. The other two that we would be using at the moment, they're not particularly expensive. So we'll be taking a look at that. We'll probably get those placed down fairly soon, and then we'll worry about like buying the land after that. So we'll start using some of the start using up some of our money to buy these things. Right, hang on a minute. If I move that one over, I've got at least a tractor and a half's width that I can move over like that, I think. If I go to there, and you have not finished your task at all, don't lie to me. There. It's better. And I went over two. Right, I cannot do that in 2 passes, so we may as well go back to where we were. Because it's got to be 3 passes. There, go like that. Right. He will spread fertilizer on that field. He'll do a wonderful job and probably fail miserably. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let him come up to the end of the field like this. Right there. And then I'm going to switch off the hired help. And I'm going to go up this way so that we've got a little bit of a gap down through the middle. And hopefully the hired help will deal with that. There. You go up through there. And then he'll come back through and he should do the last bit. So we'll let that one go there. And then I'll go back to you. Oops. Turn you back on again. We've got 11 bales picked up. We've got 500. That's going to work out absolutely perfectly. We'll grab these 2 here. Then we can spin round and go and get the other 2. We've got exactly 16 bales on our machine, which we can take down and we can stack up next to our stack that we've already got down there. Get these unloaded. We need to put lime on this field and fertilizer on this field. And this one's not going to need anything else. So what I'm thinking is we'll put the lime on first. And then we'll put the fertilizer on afterwards. Rather than leaving the lime on there for absolutely ages to kind of just keep going. I just think it will work out better. Let's lift that one up there. We'll have the message come up in a minute to say, there we go, helper F has completed their task. So that's that bit done. We'll bring him back, and he's going to have to do some fertilizing, but we first want to lift that one up there. And we get all of these fields, everything will be running really well. We get this final field will be planted. So we'll go and do the lime up on the small field first. That'll be our next task, to go and do the lime up there. And as soon as I've done the lime up there, I can then run the seed drill up there and start planting while I do the lime here on the grass field. So if I bring you into there, actually, if I bring you out a little bit like that, and, oh no, I want to go in a bit, there. Right, that's right up against it. That's perfect. That's what we wanted. Okay, so we'll lower you back down again, and we'll go and park this one up. We've got a nice lot of hay there. That's going to keep our sheep and our horses in hay for quite a little while now. I don't think we're going to have any worries about shortages of feed for the animals. With you down here. I can't remember how much lime we've got left in that spreader. I don't think we've got all that much, to be honest. And my big concern is the cost of another lime station. Of course, the extra thing with that is, I don't know how much loan we've got. See, we go into here and you go to miscellaneous like this, right? And the lime station is 30 grand. The seed tank and the solid fertilizer tank, which are the two that we're going to want, those are considerably cheaper. We've got big wooden storage. We've got various wooden storages there. I'm not going to worry about those. So those two are cheap. The lime station, however, is $30,000, and I don't have $30,000. We'll worry about placing the other two down in a bit. Oh, actually, I'm gonna need those. The fertilizer, I don't actually need the fertilizer, but the seed one is one that we're gonna want. So let's get these both placed down. Right, seed tank right there. Now, the issue that I've got with this is I never know quite which side of it to be on for when I'm loading stuff up. And that's what I don't particularly like about it. So what I'm going to do to get round this is I'm going to place it over here. Because we can easily access both sides of the tank if it's over there. And actually, fertilizer seems to be worse than seed. We'll put this one here. This can go under the tree, actually, because we got the place anywhere. If I put that one about there, we've got room to be getting through. But I can more easily access that on both sides. And then the fertilizer tank, that one can be a little bit further away. You know, I'm thinking that well, I was going to put it inside the fence, but no, we don't want to do that. I could put it here. And again, I'm not really sure about that. Maybe next to, obviously we don't want to put it on the telegraph pole, but putting it close to the telegraph pole there. Actually, let's have a look. Where's the wire? Is there a support wire on that one? There is not. Right, downside to that is that's actually not a telegraph pole, that's a power line coming in. So you wouldn't put a metal structure like this right up against a power line with a transformer on it as well. That's asking for trouble. You could... Well, that one's got a transformer. Why have they both got transformers on them? You don't normally have... You only have transformers normally on just a few of them. You don't have them on all of them. Makes no sense. Fine. I'll put this one over here. I'll do my original plan and I'll put this one over here. It's not the most accessible point. Actually, it's not too bad. Yes, we'll put that one right there. I like that because then we come along this track here and it is accessible. It's a little bit, it's away from the seed, it's away from everything else. I think that's the right spot for it. I do. I genuinely do think that is the right spot for it. Wait, what do I want to do now? I want to... We're going to get the other tractor. Right, you're done. You've done your work. You've done a magnificent job. We've got 380 litres left in it. And we will be... Obviously, you see this field, we're not going to be keeping this field. We're not going to be working it as a field for very much longer. It's going to all be turned into chicken pens. And we'll be doing stuff... We'll be doing chicken-related stuff with it. So we're going to be getting more chicken pens as soon as we can. I'm still on the lookout for a trailer that will auto-load the pallets for us. We've got one auto-load trailer, but it doesn't auto-load the empty pallets, and that's something that I'm on the lookout for. If we have Either that one is updated so that we can put the empty ones on there, or we get a different one. It doesn't really matter. It'll be one or the other. Let's just park you in there a minute so that you're out of the way, and then we don't have to worry about you, and then we want to get you, and we'll whiz down here. So we've gone and bought the other two. We've now got $6,500 left, which means that all we have available... Yeah, if we want to go and get the lime silo down here, that's going to be a tad more expensive. But we got 12,000 litres of lime on board. That, hopefully, will be enough to do the 2 fields that we want to do. We've got that bit up there on the grass, and we've also got the bit up here that we want to lime as well. Is it worth doing the lime on this? I mean, lime is fairly cheap. You don't have to pay very much for it. It does give you... Actually, what is the bonus for lime? You know, I've not actually checked that for ages and ages. So let's have a look. If you could stop a minute, that would just be... That would be grand. That would be absolutely wonderful. Improving yield. 65% yield bonus. You must spread fertilizer twice. That's plus 25% each time. Spread lime every 3 harvests. That's plus 15%. And to avoid a 35% yield cut... You must remove the bad weeds, otherwise you lose 20%, and plough after corn, potatoes, and sugar beet and sugarcane to avoid the 15% penalty. So you get a 35% penalty on your yields. So actually 165% is maximum yield, because you lose 35%. You lose 35% here, but you don't gain that on top. So removing the weeds... That's a 20% hit, which, if you've done both of those, is quite a significant amount. So 165% is maximum you can get. And what we're essentially going for with this is 15% boost on what we've got, which is why lime is quite cheap, I suppose, although it's very expensive to get the Bredel spreader, isn't it? It's not a cheap option for actually getting the spreader itself. Now, if I bring that to there, I reckon that's going to be about right for spreading. There is a new mod that I just seen. I haven't installed it because I wasn't sure how well it would work. But it's variable variable application control for lime and fertilizer and spray and slurry, manure, all of it. Right? Anything that spreads fertilizer of any kind. It's a variable control for it, which seems really good. So, if you're going up a hill, and you've got a steep hill, obviously the machine slows down. The base game just keeps chugging the stuff out onto the ground, and it wastes it. It does. It completely and totally wastes it. Whereas this mod removes that wastage by putting it onto, like, doing it properly. If I press H on there, that should do a nice even coat. Yeah, it slows down the application rate. It slows down the amount that is being removed from your... You are going to go the right way. I know that we got a little stripe up the side of the field there. I don't care about that. It slows down the application rate. I thought that was really, really good. I didn't install it because it also seems like something that could have quite a few bugs and issues with it. So something like that seems, you know, it's a heavy script that... could potentially have several conflicts and issues. I'd like to leave it for at least a month, just to run for a while, and let people alert the mod creator to any potential bugs or anything that might turn up with it, and then those will get patched out, and then once I've seen a patch come out for a mod like that, then I'm happier with going along and installing it myself. So I will do that. I will use that one because that seems like such a great idea. It's an absolutely brilliant idea. I love the idea of actually having a little bit of sensible control over the application speed of all of the fertilizers and everything that we normally use. Because at the moment, when you're going up the steep hills, you really do take a massive hit, don't you? Like, you take an absolutely massive hit on the amount of stuff that is pumped out onto the field. Right, we're just going to stop there a second. Just like that. And we're going to switch over to our other tractor again. Get you. I want to do a fertilizer application on this field up here, but we'll worry about that in a bit. We'll probably get the other tractor to do that. We'll get the Deutz to do that. Not the Deutz, the Fendt. Sorry. And we'll put you in there a minute. Lower you down. And unhitch you like that. And we'll go and get that shiny seed drill that we've got right there. So what did I plant in our field? We've got our field right here. What did I plant in there? Fruit types. I planted wheat. So we'll plant wheat in the other field as well. We'll do both of them with wheat, just to make life a lot easier. If we've got everything with wheat, we're much less likely to have any issues, and also it'll keep things nice and simple. So we will pop that one open there. We bring you right up. You see, you've got to go so tight to the tank when you're loading. And I also don't particularly like the fact that these tanks don't auto remove the cover when you come in close. I prefer it to auto remove the cover like they do with some of the base game stuff. Although the Lime doesn't, does it? The Lime stations. Well, I don't think they do. So we'll take this one up here and we will start planting this field with wheat, because that's the bit that's going to take the longest. And then as soon as we've set that one going, then we'll grab our Fendt again and we will take that one over to the grass field. We will spread the lime on the grass field so that we've got that taken care of, and then we will go and get steady, easy tiger. Then once we've got the lime on there, we'll go and get the fertilizer spreader and we can start doing fertilizer onto that field as well. So we'll run up through here. What crop did you have on here last time? You had wheat on here last time anyway. Right, second crop of wheat. That's actually something that I've seen happen quite a lot. It's a common thing in a crop rotation is to do 2 lots of wheat, one after the other. Because wheat is, on a lot of arable farms, wheat is the bread and butter crop. You have cash crops like OSR or canola, depending where you're from. So those do make a bit of money, but you can't grow the same crop continuously. And wheat is often looked upon as a bread and butter crop. It's not going to give you massive profits, but at the same time, it's a reliable profit that just sort of helps to keep the rest of the farm running. So it's, or at least this was the case 15 years ago when I was last having anything to do with it. And that's what the farm manager at the time described wheat as. And they said that's why they use wheat twice in their rotation, barley once in the rotation, is because wheat is the bread and butter of arable farming. And for those of you who don't understand what that means, the bread and butter job, the bread and butter item of any particular industry, of any particular business, anything like that, what are you doing? You're going to drive down there and then... Right, that's not quite what you're supposed to be doing. Let's help you out with that a little bit, shall we? The bread and butter item is the one that doesn't necessarily earn you the most money, but it's something that earns you a... Well, it almost always doesn't earn you the most money, but it does earn you a regular income. So, for example, if you were running a garage, and you have cars coming in all the time, your money jobs, like the big paying money jobs, would be a specialist job that you've got to do on a car that is, say, an unusual car that you've never really, you haven't had a lot to do with. It's a lot of fun. It's the kind of passion project that you really, really love. And it's what makes it really exciting. The bread and butter job is someone coming in to have their brakes serviced. Okay, you've done brake servicing so many hundreds of times, so many thousands of times. It's a mundane, boring, dull job. Wheels off, look through the brakes, change the brake pads, put it back together, wheels back on. Right? It's a mundane, boring job. that nobody really wants to do. But that's a bread and butter job. It's not going to get you a vast amount of profit, but it is going to earn you a little bit of income, and that's going to keep your business going. And then you have the other jobs. So a bread and butter, that's how you would view a bread and butter thing. Photography, for example. Going to a concert and taking really cool shots of a popular band whilst they're having a concert, that's a treat. You've gotten free entry into the concert, you get to enjoy it, you get to look around the concert, you take all these cool shots, you have exclusive access with the band out the back, that kind of thing. That is a really cool job, and it's probably a fairly good paying gig as well. That's a lot of fun. But you're not going to get those on a really regular basis. That's not something that's going to happen frequently. Whereas a family coming into your studio and just kind of setting up with all the lights and everything, and then you doing family portrait photos, is probably fairly dull. For a lot of photographers, that's the sort of thing that is a fairly dull experience. You've got to deal with somebody else's screaming brats. You've got to keep telling everybody to smile and moving them round, and it's not something you're gonna get overly passionate about. But that's a bread and butter job. That's the thing that is going to keep your photo studio open. So obviously you do put in the absolute best you can. You do the best job that you possibly can. But it's not going to be the job that you're going to be particularly passionate. I mean, it's obvious, there's always going to be people that are. There's always going to be people that look at that family portrait type job as the reason that they got into photography. But there's a lot more that won't. And that family portrait photography, that's the bread and butter of your studio. That's the one that is going to pay the bills. It's not going to make a vast amount of money. It's not an exciting job to do at all. It's something you can do with your eyes half closed and not really put any thought into it. But yeah, as it's the one that pays the bills, that's your bread and butter job. So that's what it means. For those of you who completely have no clue what I mean when I say it's a bread and butter crop, that's what it's referring to. And this is what the guy that I used to work for, and other people as well that I've spoken to, describe wheat as. Growing wheat, that's your bread and butter crop. You need to grow that crop. That's the one that pays the bills, right? That covers all the other bills. And then you grow cash crops like canola or beans or peas or something like that. Those are cash crops. Now, the thing with a cash crop is it's more risky. You can't cover everything in cash crops. Some years a cash crop will pay well and it'll bring in a decent amount of cash. Other years, cash crops can be a complete failure and you're really lucky if you even break even. And in those years, your bread and butter crop, your wheat, that doesn't bring in a vast amount of profit, but it does clear it clears a reasonable profit. Not vast amounts, but a reasonable profit. And that reasonable profit is the difference between you still being in business a year later and you having to call in the bank manager who will politely and quietly wrap things up for you as you go into insolvency. You don't really want that, right? So that's what I mean by bread and butter. Bread and butter anything in any kind of industry, it's the bit that pays the bills. That's all it's doing. It's paying the bills. But so long as you got your bills paid, then you're more open to being able to do other things. So this is what I was told about crop rotation, was that a bread and butter crop is the one that, like wheat is the bread and butter crop. That's the one that pays your bills. So you always make sure you've got wheat in your rotation, and a lot of farmers will put wheat twice into the rotation because it's an important bread and butter crop. Barley is considered that way by a lot, I would say. Barley is also considered a bread and butter crop, but not quite the same as wheat. Wheat is more the bread and butter one. It's the one that is... It's going to get you a profit. It may not be huge amounts, but it's a more reliable profit than the barley is. The barley does depend on the season, and the barley is a lot more quality dependent, especially if you're going in for malting barleys, which are typically used, those are the ones that are used for brewing. So if you're going in for types of malting barleys and things like that, then yeah, it's it's a little bit different. I'm not quite sure how it all works. I'm not quite sure what the grading systems are. But barley, the difference between malting barley and feed barley is different to the difference between feed wheat and wheat that can be used for flour and human consumption. But I don't really know what the differences are. So people who know more about arable crops will be able to tell you a lot more than I can. But this is what I was told several years ago, that wheat is a much more reliable bread and butter option than barley, which is why a lot of farmers will grow wheat twice in a crop rotation compared to barley, because of the fact that it's a more reliable source of income. So I don't know very much about the accuracy of this information. If anybody does know more about the accuracy of this information, then by all means get into the comment section and correct me. I would like nothing better than to be corrected on this if I have got it wrong. We have over here an almost finished field, so let's start you up. And we'll back up. So the other end of the field is all done. We've just got this end of the field to do. We've done a layer of fertilizer on this field. We just need one more layer. F for Farming Simulator. That could not be a more perfect F. I wonder if we could do the rest. Like, leave it in... It would be a lot harder to leave it. You could quite easily, like, mark out the letters across the field for Farming Simulator, but just leaving it in white, that would be a lot more tricky, I think. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. We're not planning to do that today. So we'll go and take this one back and we'll park it up. Then we want to bring the fertilizer spinner, although that's actually the last thing that we want to do now, is we want to put fertilizer onto the grass, and that'll be done. We want to put fertilizer onto this field behind us, and that'll be done as well. So we'll do both of those jobs using the Fendt up here, because it's just faster on the ground. And besides which, that's nearly finished, and I'd like to just watch that one working a bit longer, because we don't do this very often, and I quite like doing the talcum powder spreading. We've run out of talcum powder. This isn't good. Let's have a look. Fruit types, growth, soil composition. And I've gone and spread talcum powder on bits that don't really need it. And the bit that does really need it down here is going to be... Oh. It completely ran out already. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There is one option that I can do. I can go to here, and just for this little bit, just to make it easier for us, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to helper, refill, fertilizer, buy, like that. Slurry, manure. Right, hopefully this is classed as fertilizer, so I go like that. Oh no! He's putting fertilizer on the field instead of lime. That was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. We don't know. Well, where's the lime refill? It's because it emptied out. Lime required on. Because I emptied it out, it didn't. I was hoping that the hired help would just buy that last little bit. Okay, we can't do that. We've run out of lime, and I don't have the money to go and buy the lime station at the moment anyway. So I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to take out yet another loan, or yet increase our loan anymore at the moment. So we'll park up this one that's been sat in front of our house for absolutely ages. We'll put this one away in a shed. It hopefully will fit in. Oops. You know, it would help if I turned the wheels the right way. There we go. Right. I'm terribly sorry, folks. I'm afraid I'm going to have to interrupt things there. That is all we've got time for today. So if you've enjoyed the episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.